Hello and welcome to the Workouts for Older Men podcast. I am Skip LaCour and I'm so glad you are joining me today. Hey, in this podcast, I want to talk about boosting testosterone naturally. What you can do as an older man, our testosterone levels naturally drop. What you can do to boost your testosterone levels naturally. I want to talk about that and a whole lot more in this Workouts for Older Men podcast. So, let's talk about our testosterone levels. I mean, if you're older and you don't feel as you have as much energy to work out as long or as hard or as heavily as you want to or you have in the past, all right? What about your sense of well-being, your optimism, your cognitive thinking? I mean, it's going to drop as we get older. All right, sex drive, right? We know that testosterone is important. We know that it drops naturally as we get older. Now, how much? Okay, there's so many different opinions, scientific research, and then how it's described to us, how it's spun about this information. Okay, because we're going to take for granted, yes, that is true, our testosterone's dropped, but how much? Right, depending on who you're talking to, right? And I'm going to talk about this. That's going to depend on the sense of urgency you need to act upon, or whatever you perceive of your conditions. Because as we get older, all of those things that affect our testosterone, we know they're going to drop. But how much? Right? I've heard studies that the drop is slight over time. Now it adds up over the years, and it does drop, and you want it to be at maximum levels. But, sometimes us not having enough strength in the gym might be certainty in the strategies. Totally committed, like we've got other things going on in our lives that are more important, so maybe we're not putting our full focus, passion, and energy into our workouts as maybe we've done in the past, and that's going to affect if we go for one more rep or 5 more pounds. And that over time, we're not going to be as strong. We're not going to be into it. We may not have as much enthusiasm or energy to work out if, there's other things that are more important in life. That's what happens when you're a little bit older with a busy, productive life. Those things matter to our performance. This stage of life that we're all in, right? I hope you feel good about where you are in life. I mean, you've done the work, you're reaping the rewards. One thing I know as an older man, and the experiences I have helping, coaching so many men, is that what we're great at in life, what we're proud of, it took a lot of willpower, focus, energy, and time. And as we put that willpower, focus, energy, and time into that area of our life, we didn't put it into others. So if you got this whole rockin' business that's created financial security, it's very common that maybe you didn't put enough attention to your marriage. And maybe it isn't where you want to be, or maybe you're divorced or getting divorced, or you're in your second marriage, or you're still having trouble in relationships. All right, or the window of opportunity to really make an impact on your kids. We don't want to necessarily think about this or admit this, but maybe looking back when we're honest with ourselves, when we really focus on that area of business, let's say we didn't nurture our child, maybe wish we wanted to, and now we're having to deal with that. That's just this common experience. So we all have this the great things, hopefully focus on and appreciate that we earned over time. But you're just like everybody else. If life gets you down, you feel the stress of the areas you haven't focused on, or you don't have that sense of optimism, it's this balancing act. That's part of life. Young, old, a lot of testosterone, not very much testosterone, somewhere in between. So, and I'm going to talk about that, this, testosterone, older man, is it your testosterone levels or is it life? All right, because again, we know that testosterone levels drop, but how much, and how much is that really impacting your view of the world and your view of your strength and vitality and sex drive and things like that? I'm not saying there is no effect, but it's important that I say that, right? Now, I'm going to talk about, my opinions on testosterone replacement therapy, TRT. I'm going to talk that in another podcast. If you were to look through, all of my social media platforms, YouTube channel, podcast channel, all of Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and you should be on all of them. You will see I've done videos on my opinion, and I update it as I get more information. But that's not what I want to talk about. But before I don't talk about, that's just the rage on the internet as I speak right now. I got men who are 32 years old and older. Oh, TRT, you need that. It's just like taking a vitamin. There's no downside to it, or so they say. It's the best thing for your health, for your energy. Why wouldn't you want to be at a level that's when you were 19 years old and maximize it? And the people who are committed to TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, that's all that you see on the internet many times. Now, there are, a couple of older men who are anti-TRT, right? I get that too. But my stance on TRT, just to let you know, is very similar. When I was a drug-free bodybuilder, right, for all those years, a drug-free bodybuilder. Look, I understand the human condition, right? We all do things for different reasons. My values aren't necessarily your values. What I risk, what I want, what I'm not willing to risk, that's my decision. As the age we are now, older men, we take responsibility for our own decisions. I'll tell you what I'm doing and why and what I've heard, and you take that and you make your decision. So I'm not going to pass judgment on if somebody wants to take TRT. Just they need to know all the different things and some of the things that I'm considering. Also, some of the things I'm talking about in this on how to do it naturally, right? Maybe some key things, and I'll talk about what they are. Your life will change if you raise your standards in exercise, the consistency, the type of exercise. If you eat, and I don't know what level, how much attention or how great your eating habits are, and I'm not talking about just building muscle and losing body fat, right? You make some changes, especially as you're older, to your diet, it could change everything. So when you talk about energy levels, which optimism, which strength in the gym, pushing 5 more pounds, showing up to the gym, right? Your optimism, deal with your challenge in life, all the pluses and all the minuses that we all go through, this whole stressful, sometimes, journey of life. Man, you clean that up. It may have nothing to do with testosterone, but you could boost that naturally. Maybe that will do it. Right? I don't make judgments on men who take TRT because the way I see it, forget about the muscle gains or the fat loss or replacing it artificially. That's not really artificial, or whatever they want to say, and minimizing the risk and really maybe hyping the benefits. Look, I really think it's a quality of life. It's dealing with all these challenges, all this energy. They want to produce more. They feel disadvantaged. They want to have that edge. They need to make that money. They must make that money. They must be around for whatever their reason is. That's the path they've chosen. Whatever path you make in life, I'm not going to judge you for it, right? But I will tell you that you should explore all the different options. That may make all the difference in the world because there are downsides to TRT, but we'll talk about that, in another podcast. All right. So, what happens when we lose our testosterone, right? Reduce muscle mass, right? Increase fat mass, right? Collect fat a little easier when lower testosterone. Reduce bone density. So, maybe if you're in your 50s and maybe even your 60s, this isn't the time maybe you're thinking about bone density. But I'll tell you, we're doing this for a long, healthy life, but not just to live until we're older, much older, but also we want to be functional too. Bone density will be something that's very important. Decreased libido, all right? When you are testosterone levels, they decrease. Mood changes, I talked about that. Depression, irritability, all right, those type of things. Decreased energy levels, I talked about that. Talked about cognitive decline. Right? When was it for you that you started forgetting people's names who you just talked to yesterday? Or certain things, that short-term memory loss that happens in age or cognitive decline, right? All those things are associated with the testosterone level drops, all right? So that's why we definitely want to do the things to boost it. But let's talk about boosting it naturally. What are some things that you can do? Well, exercise regularly, all right? Not necessarily the perfect weight training muscle routine that I kind of show you. It could be any type of exercise that pushes you. Higher reps, lower is full body workouts. You don't ever enter a gym. It's a home gym workout. All right, it's a backyard workout. Pushing the weights, weight training, whatever is that for you, doing it regularly. All right. Interval training with weights, heavy weight training. Those can all boost testosterone. So if you're doing it 3 days a week, what if you do that 5? Even if you lower the intensity, we talked about that, over 5 days. This is going to change the way you feel and change your body. That exercise, taking it to a higher level. I'll tell you what, I have been, my training, if you know my training, it's short, sweet, it's intense, it's heavier weight, it's fewer reps per set, it's fewer sets, fewer exercise, get it done, build muscle. I know what it takes to lose body fat. I know it's not weight training, right? Cramming it into a shorter period of time. A lot of older men with busy, productive lives, that's very attractive, right? But I'll tell you, I've been experienced with less intensity and more volume, right? Not necessarily more time in the gym, but more frequent training sessions. And I know, because I've trained with real intensity, I know what the difference is. I know that I'm not coming as close to failure. I know I'm coming a couple reps short. I know I'm not putting as much weight, but I'm training the body parts a little bit more. And this is what I'm doing right now, right? And it is, making a difference in my overall general being, just being active, right? Instead of being so efficient to what's the least amount of time I can exercise and still build muscle, lose body fat, and look good. For general health, maybe lower that intensity, more training sessions, all right? Exercising regularly. Maintain a healthy weight, all right? So I'm going to tell this in 2 different ways to a couple of groups of older men. Let's just talk about, if you're rather new to training, maybe within a couple of years, right? A lot of men, 40, 50, 60 pounds overweight, they just move more, ate less, didn't necessarily have the perfect weight training routine. I really understood, how they really should be eating, but just moving more and eating less compared to what they did before, right? That they helped them lose a lot of weight. And so now they're in the normal man category. See, I really believe, and you'll hear me say this over and over again, that if you're just watch what you eat, exercise just somewhat regularly, not going to a super routine, you do that for a year, you'll be in the top 20% of the general population of men in their 50s and 60s. You will and you don't even have to be great at it just by putting that attention, because the other 80% don't. You have zero competition. So I'm not saying it's easy, but it's pretty simple to get in the top 20%. Then you have to know what you're doing. All right, to get in the top 5%. I know it's tough to conceptualize. Well, I'm in the top 20%. I don't like the way I get it. But if you just looked around, right, you have to know what you're doing, right? So you could be a man who's been doing this for a year or so. You lost all the weight, but, you really have, about 30 extra pounds of fat. If you wanted to be a physical specimen of health and you looked lean and muscular, you probably have about 30 pounds of body fat still, right? But you may think it's 10. A lot of men think it's the last 10 pounds. It's really more than that. They just don't understand how it works with weight on the scale. But okay, 10, 30. All right. So whatever that weight is, it's different if you think you're 10 pounds overweight or 30 pounds overweight. A lot of men think they're 10 pounds overweight. It's really 30 pounds overweight. The closer they get to 10 pounds, they're going to maintain their healthy weight. So that's for the top 20% guys putting in their work, right? But I guess we don't have to talk about how some of these men were before, who had 50, 60, 100 pounds, right? But whether you're 100 pounds overweight or you think you're 10 pounds overweight, maintaining that healthy weight, knowing what that is, all right, that's going to help fight decreasing testosterone levels in the body. Getting enough sleep. Many of us, when we were younger, We could get by. We're so driven, ambitious. Maybe it's in your business. I know my business of bodybuilding. All right, a lot of things I wanted to accomplish over the years. I'm grateful that I accomplished, and I could get by with 6 hours sleep, sometimes 5. Take naps on the weekend. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you can get done if you don't sleep for an hour or two. You get an hour or two less, and maybe you've done that up until your 50s or 60s. All right. But I'll tell you, that extra sleep does make a big difference now that you're older. Probably made a difference when you were younger if you would have slept a couple hours more. All right. But, when you're just like what I talk about with eating, everything, the younger you are, the more you can get away with bad eating or not exercising or not sleeping. The older you get, so you got to really start doing that right. I'm getting a lot more sleep than I got even 15 years ago. And people say, well, I look at your workout schedule. You work out at 4 o'clock. Older men shouldn't be getting up that early. They need more sleep. Well, what they don't realize is I go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. And I get really sound sleep, too. So it's the hours and the quality, too. But you might have to change if you were that working guy that was able to squeeze all that extra work and it really benefited you by not getting sleep. As you get older, finding a way to fit in that sleep will naturally increase your testosterone levels. Managing stress. Oh, man, this is a huge one. I do think the stresses in life, the more we can reframe, we've got mental health. You talk it over maybe with a coach. You talk it over with your friends, which many men don't do. Stress that we all go through in life. I tell my kids, I got the young kids, 10 and a half and 9, and I'm teaching them about life at a breakneck pace because I'm not taking for granted that I'm going to be with them like forever. Well, I know that, but so having at this age. And so I talk about, challenge in life, right? The quality of your life is how you handle challenges. And it's always been for all of us, right? And you got to have that mental discipline, that flexibility, that fight, that resolve, that ability to reframe your stress. Two people, maybe this is true in your life. What caused you stress early in your life, you realize that the world didn't end. They were able to handle it just fine. And so it gave you some discipline and some patience, right, over time. What was stress before isn't stress now. And then we're continuing on that journey. But managing stress just doesn't sipe literally the life out of you. Really important. A life coach can really help out with that. But managing stress, I know as old men, we just keep it all in. I'll tell you, I help a lot of men with their fitness coaching. We do it over a course of time, make them accountable to do the things they must. They learn what it takes in simple and effective and efficient use of their willpower, focus, and energy time to get in shape. But along those 12 weeks, those 12 hours that we spend together, a lot of times that's where my other skill set is in helping them manage their thoughts, emotions, perspective as they tackle life from this point forward. You will see me as the expert of helping older men with the quality of their life from our unique perspective, just like I bring the unique perspective of training and eating and being healthy. It's different. The general motivational talks for a 25-year-old is different for a 55-year-old, 60-year-old. So you'll know more about that with me. And the men who I talk to for hours, we get to know each other. They know it. And a lot of times, it's great to talk to someone you respect. Maybe it's for fitness. And then you get to know me. And then you have someone to bounce off life things. And I'm at a safe distance. It's just a voice on the other side of the country, if not on the other side of the world, that you could feel safe with. I'm not in your hometown. I don't know your friends. There won't be any local gossip, right? Because, I am there. And that's a great way to help manage stress and reframe. So if that ever sounds interesting to you, reach out to me. We can talk about that. Eat a healthy diet for testosterone levels. Oh, my gosh. There's so many different levels to eating more healthy. And I'm not necessarily talking organic food or going vegan or all these things that, may be a little bit extreme. I don't know where you're at now, so it's hard for me to, pick apart and give you suggestions on how you can take your eating to the next level. So I have no idea if it's really poor and you don't know it, or it's pretty good, but there's another level somewhere in between. But I'll tell you, the more, especially the older we get, the more we can focus on the key elements that create a healthy diet and execute that over time. It's a game changer in our mental, our physical, and also our testosterone levels. So taking your diet to even a higher level, even though it's good. Now, I'll tell you this. A lot of men ask me, is there you talk about this TRT, Skip, doesn't sound like you take it or you're a fan of it. I don't take it. I've never taken it. And I can just tell you at this point, I don't plan unless I can be convinced that the things that I'm not doing can do it, because pro versus con, I'm doing great. But that's me, because I know all these other things. And if you need to know these things, reach out to me. Right? This is about quality of life. I'll coach you. I'll teach you over time. You'll have what you need. You'll have what I have. You'll know what I know. All right. So the TRT thing. All right. What about the over-the-counter? Well, like I said, anytime there's money involved, anytime there's a weakness, a need, and you're freaking out about testosterone levels, and you're having a down day, and somewhere somebody who wants your money has influenced you, well, hey, maybe that's your testosterone levels. And now that's in your head, right? Not that you're not sleeping, not that you're exercising regularly, not that you have 40 pounds overweight, not that your diet can be even better, right? They're going to try to sell you something. I don't believe, at least at this time, any of the over-the-counter testosterone boosters will make a difference. I don't think that there are any supplements that will make a significant difference. I'm not saying in a test tube or a case study. I'm thinking, I'm trying to climb in your shoes, and what do you expect for what you pay? All right, did you do all these things? You take it to a higher level. And now you're talking about supplements. Are you in that category? Or you don't even know where to begin, and you're hoping that this bottle that produces to raise your testosterone naturally, because you'd rather take an over-the-counter supplement than go get hormones from a doctor or inject yourself or whatever. I don't believe at this time that the over-the-counter testosterone boosters, and I'm not even sure, so vitamins and minerals and protein powder and that type of thing, I mean, it'll supplement all the things we're talking about: good diet, building muscle, losing body fat, it'll supplement, but that's not the answer. But they can help out. Avoiding alcohol and tobacco. All right, we're old enough that, tobacco was a thing. I was telling my kids that, Grandpa Bush, their stepfather, right? I mean, he'd just smoke in front of me and Uncle Ron. Just the whole living room would be filled with smoke. He'd be smoking all the time, right? How dare someone not let you smoke? Remember in restaurants, right? Man, you'd be enjoying the meal if you weren't a smoker. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't, I don't know. And you would that was all part of it. You had to smell somebody's smoke. It seems such a long time ago now, right? But, smoking, it's not cool to smoke cigarettes anymore. I see the same trend in alcohol. They're not going to, they used to try to convince us that, smoking was good. It was powerful. It was sexy. I think they even said it was good for your health. That might have been before my time, because in my time, becoming conscious at whatever age, it was, they weren't trying to say it was good for you. I guess they were trying to say it wasn't that bad for you. Alcohol, we're coming off the stage where they're saying that, it's actually good for you to do a little bit. Now it's going to be, under any conditions, there's nothing good about alcohol for you. I mean, for your body. Now, I understand you're stressed, you're pushing yourself, you got to deal with this life stuff. I understand how a cigarette or alcohol is helpful mentally and emotionally, but for your body. But studies have shown we want to definitely avoid these, decrease these, alcohol and tobacco, because it's been shown that it's been linked to decreased testosterone levels. All right, so those are the reasons why you want to pay attention to your testosterone levels, and when they're declining, what could happen to you, what may be happening, what may not be happening, right? But those are the things to look out for. Those are the things you want to minimize or avoid, and those are the things that you can do to raise your testosterone levels naturally. All right, again, it's for another podcast. I'll go into my thoughts on TRT a little bit more, but I think you got the gist of it here, and you can look on all my social media platforms. I've probably talked about it a couple times on each one. right? But this is how to do it naturally, all right? If you have any questions, if you want me to take you through a process over 12 weeks so you can have this for the rest of your life, you're loving this information, you wanted to come quickly, keep it going, but man, I've talked for 25 minutes about a subject. What if we can just meet you where you are, all right? And we can save a lot of time and energy. I'll meet you where I'm skilled at doing this, take you through a coach plan, change your life. Make you more efficient with learning this. Take you to higher levels faster. You want to use my 34 years, not of just doing it myself, but also helping a lot of men just like you, a lot of older men. All right, I'm sure that I have a coaching program for you. Reach out to me. We'll talk about it at no risk. I'll be more than happy to talk to you. You'll see if it's a good fit for you of my one-on-one coaching. I'll see if it's a good fit for me. All right, so that is going to do it for this Workouts for Older Men podcast. Let's take on that day with a sense of urgency. We have to when we're a little bit older. We've got more time behind us than we do in front of us. Have a great day.